Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andriana and today we're going to talk about hygiene and metaphysics. On my previous video, I shared about the core activation that I had, and this time I'm going to share something with a different perspective and how it came to activate another area in my personal life. Everything we do in our daily routines is a result of our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. Sometimes we're on autopilot, which means our subconscious and unconscious take over and we act from there because it's something repeatedly done. These actions have a direct effect in our womb of creation, as I explained in my previous video and blog post, which I'm going to link below. We're basically translating energy into matter, and we put our energetic signature and DNA in everything that we do in life. Every move that we make, we link it in our minds with memory, and everything has specific meaning when it comes to our actions because the way we translate things is linked to memory, time, and specific time frames that we act upon within our space. Everything is being stored into our reality matrix, which is a part of our DNA and genetic makeup. When we don't practice hygiene and organization daily, energetic reactions happen not only within our cells, but in our reality as well. Bacteria multiply and they birth their own frequency in our space, and they influence not only our minds, but our sense of smell, emotion, our senses, and our physical reality. And in time, just like food goes bad after a few days, microorganisms influence everything else, which is important when it comes to your manifestation and sovereignty in your space, because it's like you allow something else to be in your space without you being conscious about it, and that reflects the consciousness and how it works with other species that try to control us, because in a way we allow them to be in our space and we allow them to direct our consciousness because we're not consciously aware that we're doing something. So this is why everything is connected to everything else. The way everything works has to do with us and the power we give, and the sovereignty and what responsibilities we have as conscious creators. So all the actions we take influence our mood, our hormones, and our hormones link to the brain, the nervous system, and all the responses that our organism has to those things. And if we influence the internal DNA, we also influence the external and the metaphysical, because it's all one. Because when the nerves become influenced, our breathing and respiratory system starts to change, and subconsciously we produce the stress hormones. Then our digestion is not good enough because there's something unprocessed there. There is always a reason why we do things subconsciously, and we have to see them and know why our avatar, our vessel, is acting like this in the physical reality, because there's something behind that, and we should always work on ourselves to see what there is under the rug and why we are acting in such a way, because we're here to bring balance to the imbalance. And when we're in the ascension journey, everything is linked to everything else, so we have to be consciously aware, self-aware, why we make certain decisions and how these decisions may influence everything else in our lives. When our breathing changes, our grounding ability changes, our perception changes, and all our actions influence our frequency. And in a way, we're altering our original blueprint by allowing some other form or entity to enter our space without us realizing it in many forms. We basically slow down our evolution by having to process something, and we keep doing this until we learn, and it's okay because that's how we learn. But I'm just here to share what I realized through this experience and why it's so mind-blowing to me that things have such impact when we grow from things. So basically everything is like a chain reaction. When we drop in frequency or slow down, we begin with the mind, because everything influences the mind, and we start to be judgmental, or we are in defense mechanism depending on what we're processing or not processing. And all these things bring distortion and chaos and confusion, and basically we're hacked from our consciousness. Our sovereignty is not present. And as this influences the internal and our body, our physical body, this also influences the external. It's a reflection. How we feel inside reflects to our environment, reflects to the elements around us. The air and the dust influences the sacred geometry within our bodies, our water. This influences the fire, which is our thinking, our thoughts, our spirit, our power, and the earth, our space. Depending on what you're processing and what cycle you're in and how the planets are in astrology and your natal chart, everything influences your perception, your actions, your thinking, your sleeping patterns, and everything else. So that's why I have to be very aware of our actions, so that we can break down and decode what's there, so that we can learn how to work with it. Because every season has a different effect on our feeling, emotion, as well as planetary change. And depending on your sign, what you're here to balance and what you're here to do, and your archetype and everything else that I shared on my previous podcast was created for a specific reason, being influenced by these things so that we can have an experience and grow through this experience. So we shouldn't feel fear when it comes to these changes and these things, because everything is here to help us, to teach us, to expand our awareness and consciousness, so that we can bring balance to the imbalance and activate from within, and then connect to everything else that is here, our original blueprint and our source. Everything was created for its own experience and creation. Everything is a spiral, everything is one. All the things that we experience and do and feel and think and dream influence each other. We're not just all one because of what definitions we give to things, but because we are actually all one. And we experience this creation in different ways for different reasons and lessons. We must learn how to maintain balance and discipline in our actions, habits, and skills in order to be aligned with a higher state of mind, with a higher frequency, and not in distorted frequency or chaos. So basically, we're here to master our presence and begin to cultivate our skills to claim back our sovereignty and be more present and conscious in our everyday lives, internally and externally, to stop feeding the external programs that bring distortion and confusion. Entities and bacteria, everything is a living organism, everything is DNA. So we have to be self-aware that our actions can create another entity in our space that is feeding from us, because it's a life form. That's what it's created to do. But we have to be aware of that, and we have the sovereignty and right to choose if we are going to allow this entity to coexist with us and feed from us, or if we want to use that power to build ourselves up, to basically activate the dormant DNA and win the war on consciousness, because this is what war on consciousness is. And this happens to all levels: in the physical, when it comes to organization; in the mental, when it comes to our thinking; in the DNA within our cells, with the chemicals and the fluoride in the water, the metals and everything else that has been manipulated to allow openings for them to enter our bodies. The emotional beings feeding from our emotions and our energy. The sexual is the most powerful thing that we own. In all levels, basically, everything is connected. So we have to be very conscious and self-aware. There are specific techniques and tools that we can use and do to align with our original blueprint, just like I explained in my core activation video. When we wake up, we have the choice to go autopilot or choose our rituals and our habits. If we begin by making these small adjustments every day. We shift timeline, we accelerate our activation and our evolution in general. So if we apply specific techniques from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed, we're basically in control of our entire day. Not in control of what happens to us, but in control of how we are and act and react in our reality. So there are specific things and tools that I'm here to share with you through this program if you choose so. It has to do with our grounding ability, our breathing, the sacred geometry within our water, the sacred geometry within our body, the technique of stretching in sacred geometry so that we can activate our light body and work with the light body to claim the sovereignty of our house and body and consciousness through grounding, breathing, and then claiming back the sovereignty of the house, and then the dimensional room through all the necessary steps that I share in this guide. Sometimes we have hooks within our bodies and we cannot stretch in specific ways, and I've also received a download about that, on how to work on removing the hooks, how to energetically clear the distortion, and how we can clear the energetic so that we can assist the physical. And this works vice versa. I have techniques to work with the physical and activate more of the energetic, and sometimes I have tools from the energetic to clear the physical. There are also techniques to clear your bloodline and lineage, beings that are leaning upon you. Maybe some entities cannot get to you directly, so they jump onto people who you interact with on a daily basis, or your bloodline, and then you have to do the work to claim your sovereignty by clearing your space. And through this guide you will know how to do this, how to clear other people's things so that they cannot influence you, because that's how they work. Sometimes they get to someone else who has openings and is more susceptible to entities or things or belief systems, and they try to influence you by causing energetic reactions within your body so that you can then have an opening through overstimulation or food or not good digestion, through hygiene or not being organized enough, slipping back to an old program and looping. That's how they hack the consciousness. So that's why we have to be very careful and very aware of every action we take. Everything starts with our focus, and if we lose focus, if we lose sight, then we have to start all over again. Through this program I share the algorithm of how to activate the dormant DNA and how to prevent things from happening, and claim back your sovereignty. And I do this daily. I practice this to myself so that I know how to do this, because it's a channeling from my higher aspects, and they want me to be in this path so that I can assist others in doing the same thing. So in the videos that I shared and blog posts and podcast episodes, I share some of the techniques that are in this guide and in this program that I've channeled, but they're not in detail. I shared some information so that you can get a sense of what this program is about and how it works, but there's so many details and techniques. It's something that you practice daily. It becomes your state of being, but it's a journey, it's a practice, and by repeating this many times we learn how to master it. So that's why I shared in my previous podcast about the warrior mentality and discipline and how this relates to DNA. Because as I said, everything is connected. If we do the work, we realize that we have the power to win the war on consciousness, because we are spiritual warriors and we're here to change things through our embodiment. So knowing that we are the DNA and we leave the DNA everywhere we touch, everywhere we go, everywhere we pass, metaphysically, energetically, we leave our energetic signature everywhere in our space, in other people's spaces, and those people pick it, the DNA up, can have this activation. And I will put a link in the description below of a blog post that I previously shared that is going to elaborate more on this information. So we add to the energetic signature of the planet by doing the work, by grounding more. We ground the right energy to the planet, and we assist in the activation of not only ourselves but everybody else around us. it's like a butterfly effect. If we are all connected through our DNA and through who we are as beings, we can influence each other positively to make this shift. We shift not only our individual consciousness, but the planetary consciousness and everything else that is connected to that. We have responsibility through personal choice to work on the DNA, to work on the reality, to work on our choices and our focus, to clear it and to pay the debt that was created by the previous generations and our lineages and even ourselves previously. That's why we had to come here again, some of us, to adjust what was done. And if you're interested, I will also put some links of how to clear correctly, how to organize your space if you don't really know how to do this, or if you never had the education of how to do this. People that I follow, they help me in my journey, so I'll put the links below so that you can know what sources to look for when it comes to adjusting your reality. Because I'm not just here to share this, I also have a physical life and I experience things on a personal level so that I can then step into my power and share what I learned through my experiences. So thank you guys for being here. If you found this video helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and comment below, and also share it with your friends and family and groups, and follow me on social media because honestly I'm more active there. And I share my personal journey and things that I experience and do, and how I work on my physical reality from a 3D and 4D perspective to activate more of my 5th dimensional. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!